Welcome to It Starts With Courage podcast with Kat and Jen. What is it? It's everything. Everything you want in life starts with courage. Let's do it, baby. Real conversations. Okay, Jen, listen.
All right.
So, did you know I once danced in front of the Queen of England?
No. Wait.
And then...
What is this?
Okay, so what I thought would be such a great icebreaker and to get to know you better, because, you know, after that little spiel you gave me, I felt like, who is this lady?
Yeah.
And also, I think just to help our audience get to know us a little bit more, 2 truths and a lie. Okay?
Okay.
So, I once danced in front of the Queen of England when I was 10.
Okay.
Okay. I spent 2 nights in jail. I really needed the toilet so bad once upon a time. Walking home that I peed as I walked.
I'm so sick. So 2 of them are true, 1's a lie.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to go with the jail. I don't believe you were. You spent 2 nights in jail. I've seen you dance. I've seen you dance, and I can believe that you would pee on yourself.
Wow. Wow.
Well, I
look like a peer. I look like a peer? Is that what you're telling me? I look like a peer?
Well, when you get older, some women just lose control.
Thank goodness that hasn't happened yet. My lie is, no, I am a goodie. I haven't been to jail.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I did good. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now I have to go?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do one about my real estate clients. Okay?
Okay.
So, I once had a client that wanted a haunted house.
Wanted a haunted house?
Yes. That was his criteria. He had cats and he wanted a haunted house. 2.
You know, in what they say in Africa, that's juju.
I think they might say that here too. Second, I went to
the
jail.
Blood of Jesus just before him. Wow. Okay.
I went to jail.
You went to jail?
And got some paperwork signed by a former client of mine that needed to sell their house.
Okay, they were selling. I was about to say, if they're buying a house in jail, how are they making their money?
And then the last one, that I sold a house to some people and they found a box of rare coins, gold coins, in a box on the top shelf of the laundry room.
That's a lie. That's your lie?
Nope.
What?
They're all
the jail?
They're all 3 true.
Okay, you have some interesting clients.
Yeah.
What? Selling a house? Oh man,
I know. Crazy.
In jail? And you could actually walk in and just...
I had to go meet him in jail.
Well, I mean...
Awkward.
Okay.
Awkward. How are you? Been better.
So, today, I want to talk about real conversation. That is the courage to have a real conversation. Now, I'm not talking about being blunt or being rude. I'm just talking about, are you that friend that tells it like it is?
I think I am. I get that comment from a lot of people.
Okay. I have a bone to pick with you. I don't know if it's really a bone, but 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we met. We had our usual meeting. I got home and I got a whiff of my own breath, as one do. Sometimes I know you all do it, guys. And yeah, it was tart. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. So all this time I've been stinking Jen didn't say a single thing. And I remember you came to look at something on my computer, and next minute you stepped away. Would you have told me if my breath stunk? And have you ever smelled my bad? I don't constantly have bad breath, guys, but on that day.
I did not smell your bad breath that day.
Would you have told me?
I don't know.
See?
I don't know if I would have or not. Like, we're not really that close. Like, I don't know that we're that close for me to be like.
So are you saying your ability to have a real conversation with someone depends on how close you are with them?
I think so. Yeah. Like, I've told my daughter, hey, I can tell you forgot to go brush your teeth. You need to go brush your teeth.
But you wouldn't tell me, your friend, we meet every now and again. I trust you with different things, but like, you wouldn't tell me. I think if
I would have just told you, I mean, I didn't smell it, but like if I would have told you you have bad breath, it would have just made it would have made it awkward, because what were you going to do? We didn't have any gum or mints, or should I just said, hey, there's some toothbrushes in the bathroom if you want to go brush your teeth.
But I would have known not to come up to you and be right next to you and say, Jen, what about this? That's all I'm saying is, where is that courage? Not even that courage. I don't want to constantly say that courage to have real conversations, but I think sometimes, like you just said, that people tell you that you tell it like it is, but you tell it like it is to a certain extent. So is it true for most of us out there?
I do tell it like it is to an extent. I don't want to hurt. I don't want to come off as hurting anybody's feelings, but like,
but it would help me.
If I thought it was hurting you, I probably would, but it wasn't hurting anybody.
I don't know. I think a lot of us don't tell people things that would actually help them, like, hey, go chew some gum, go gargle some mouthwash, because we are so worried about minding our own business.
Well, that brings me to that quote that everybody says, never turn down a breath mint. So if I offer you a breath mint, you know the reason.
Walk around with breath mints, guys. Okay, I just wanted to know whether you're a friend that tells it like it is. And from that, I've learned it depends.
Okay. So I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. So when I think of hard conversations, one of the things that I really see in my life is I have a lot of friends that are divorced, that are starting to date. I know that you're dating, and I hear about all of these people like ghosting each other. Like they'll go out on 3 or 4 dates, and then they think everything's great, and then all of a sudden, like crickets, like no more texts, no more answering calls, no nothing, like just complete ghosting. So what are your thoughts about that? Do you ghost people? Are you able to go out on a date and somebody really like you, and then you just tell them, hey, what do you do? Do you tell them, hey, this isn't what I want to do anymore, or do you just stop answering the text?
So, I think with this ghosting, it depends on where you're at with your relationship with this person. I'm not a ghoster. Unfortunately for me, I'm that person that kind of goes along with it and just wait for you to get bored. But I think with ghosting, it depends on how long you've known this person. Now, in this generation that we're in, we have so much access to people. We can see whether they've read our messages. We can send them DMs, all types of things that will notify you that, hey, this person got your message. Now, with all this access, I think sometimes it drives us crazy. Now, if you've only gone on a date with 3 to 5 times, yes, it would be great for that person to say, hey, I'm actually not into this, but are you really owed anything? I mean, I don't know.
Well, now, I guess it depends on what's going on those 3 to 5 dates.
Well, there we go. So it just depends on how much access you give somebody. Now, if you've been talking to somebody, a couple of months and they do crickets, now that's just being a penis. That is rude. That is rude. I do think at that stage, you do deserve some sort of courtesy for someone to say, hey, look, I actually am not into this. I actually don't like this. But I do think that I have been ghosted, and ghosting is painful.
And to me, it's lack of courage. It is a lack of courage to stand up to the person that you've been talking to, spending time with in some regard, whether it's personal or business, and say, hey, like, this is not working for me. I think when people just ghost people, the person that's been ghosted is then starting to wonder, like, what did I do wrong? What did my breath stink? Like, what is the reasons? We automatically as humans internalize everything and think like something's wrong with us. And it would just be really nice if people would do the courtesy and to each other and just let us know, like, even if that person didn't want to say, like, if the truth was embarrassing or something like that, there's still a courteous way to be direct with somebody and say, hey, you know, like, I think you're a great person and I want to be your friend, but like, this whole dating thing is not working for me.
That's easier said than done. I mean,
that's why ghosting is a thing.
But have you ever spoken to someone who's ghosted you? And now why I say this is that I've spoken to someone who's ghosted me, even a friend who's ghosted me afterwards. And it's one, while it's painful, you as the ghostee or the ghosted, you as the ghosted, you have to find at some point that strength to get over it. It's not everything in life where you're going to get answers and you're going to get closure. Sometimes you do have to find that courage, I think, to just move on, even if you don't have that real conversation that you're looking for, you don't get that explanation that you're looking for. But having spoken to someone who's ghosted me before, sometimes you learn that, okay, they just weren't in that space or didn't have the, the confidence, self-esteem to bring up whatever it was, why they couldn't move forward. But if you've had the courage to move on and pick yourself back up, it's much easier for you to accept that explanation and know that, okay, even though they've explained, you don't have to go back there. Because if you haven't healed from it, you will go back there. And you don't know if the same thing is going to happen.
Right.
So, I mean, I think with ghosting, you have to have you can't expect too much from people. That's just it. I mean, it's not nice, but you have to have the courage to
Yeah,
keep
you
on
definitely
moving.
have to have the courage to move on. But, you know, I think in business, in personal relationships, I think that's where we're missing. Like, we have this huge communication problem in our country. Like, nobody listens to both sides of the coin. We don't communicate well. And I just feel like all of this technology, I had a girl reach out to me one time about real estate and wanting some help or something. And then, so we set up a time to meet a couple days later. And then I followed up and I was like, hey, are you still want to meet? And nothing. And
But at that same time,
a couple times I followed up. And a friend of mine gave me some really good advice. She's like, we have text, we have phone, we have email, we have fax, we have Instagram, we have all these ways to communicate with each other. If they're not communicating, no answer is an answer.
That's true. But at the same time, for you, that was a new relationship. They really didn't owe you anything. Like,
they reached out to me, they set up a time to meet, and then they ghosted me.
okay.
Like,
Point taken.
I think that if they change their mind and they don't need help with something anymore, like, it's just common courtesy
And say,
to say, hey, you know what? I changed my mind. I think I'm going to go in a different direction. How hard is that? And like, even if it is really hard, that's what courage is, to do hard things. You have to have the courage to do hard conversations. Like, my lender that I work with, he has hard conversations. When things go wrong in real estate, which they always do, he's the one that calls me and says, I hate to have this conversation with you. I know everybody's going to be disappointed, but this is what's going on. I'm trying to fix it. But like,
transparency.
So instead of him just like not returning my calls or kicking the can down the road, like, he's having these hard conversations. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like when you're hard on yourself, it's hard for someone else to be on you. And when you just say what it is, it's hard for someone else to be mad at you.
It's true, but I think hard conversations or real conversations are hard because a lot of us don't want to disappoint people.
So tell me, what is one of the hardest conversations you've had to have, where you had to have courage and get through it?
I will say, I don't think I've really ever been the one to start a hard conversation with someone. I will be honest and say I don't have, or I think I calculate when I have hard conversations and how I bring it across so that it's not a hard conversation. But when I think about a hard conversation someone's brought to me, is I was probably about 16, 17. And, for most of my life, I've definitely struggled with body image. I'm one of those people that puberty suddenly hit me. I got all these stretch marks. I wouldn't even say I gained a lot of weight, but to me, because of my surroundings, I just felt like I was huge and I was fat. And from the age of about 13 to 16, I developed an eating disorder. So I would eat and I would throw up afterwards. And I thought I was doing a pretty good job of hiding this. After I eat, I would chug a lot of water and go and do my thing in the bathroom later on. And I really think this was so courageous of my sister to do this. I remember her and her husband waited until my niece had left the house and they sat me down on the sofa and turned off the TV and they said, "We want to talk to you." I didn't know what was coming because to me, I was doing a great job. And my sister, they said, we noticed that this is what's going on and you don't need to do that, etc., etc. I was so caught off guard. I wasn't even listening to the conversation. I was just thinking, how? This doesn't make any sense. And I wasn't courageous enough to admit to it. I completely denied it. I just said, I don't know what you're talking about. And even though I still found ways to get around it and still continued doing what I was doing. And in my family, it's one of those families where if something happens to one person, all the siblings know, and you're going to get a call about it. One of my other sisters called me and she tried to bring it up in a, hey, all this stuff has an effect when you're older, etc., etc. But still, it's not something that I had the courage to even have the hard conversation with myself and face with myself. Now, growing up, luckily, it's something I was able to resolve and get out of it, but it's not something I've ever admitted to myself that this is what I was doing, because this is what was helping me maintain what I needed to maintain. So I have never had the courage to have the conversation with myself and say, this is what was going on, or explicitly come out with it until having the platform Insecure Fitness. Probably a few months ago, I remember writing about it and saying, this is what has happened to me. That's the first time I've ever had that conversation out loud. And really, it wasn't a conversation to have with other people. It was a conversation I was having with myself. And why it was so important for me is because I have these two little nieces who are growing up in a similar environment to what I grew up in. And I remember the insecurities it incited on me. I was a black girl growing up around people who didn't look like me. And I know that's exactly what two of my nieces are going through. And it was so important for me to have that conversation with myself, have that courage to say, hey, this is what you are actually doing, so that I can figure out how to best help them, or for them to see that this is what life can do to you. And at some point, you don't have to conform. You don't have to look like everybody else. Have that courage to stand up and be different.
Yeah.
Look different. So I think that's the hardest conversation I am still having.
Right.
Yeah. I think
kudos to your sister, both sisters, for bringing that up to you, because that is a hard conversation, and they are raising you at that point. So, they're in a hard position because they're not your mom, but they are your guardians.
Right.
And then, like what you said, just of having the hard conversations with yourself.
Yes.
Like sometimes that is the hardest of the conversations is to like look yourself in the face and be like, you know, like I'm letting myself down.
Yeah. And that's, I think, a lot of us, while we can focus on hard conversations with other people, do you have the courage to look at yourself in the mirror and analyze and just see, you know what, I could really improve here. I shouldn't be doing this. This is what I need to do next. Or are you somebody who would rather say, I'm not doing this because so-and-so, and this is not happening for me because so-and-so, which some of it can be true. But what part do you play in it? What conversations are you having with yourself? What conversations, and those real conversations that you have with people, are they helpful or are they just hurtful conversations? Because I think there's a difference in real conversations that way. Some are just rude.
Yeah, I think it's the mentality that you're going into the conversation with. Are you going into this conversation trying to help the person, if it's bad breath or body hygiene or anything like that, that's out of, you're just trying to help somebody. And the hard conversations in either business or your personal life, I think like when you have hard conversations and you can see when you have the conversation and the other person can be vulnerable and really tell you how they're seeing the situation, it allows you to see it from all sides and it gives you a peace about the situation rather than like, oh my God, I hope I don't run into this person in Walgreens because I ghosted them and I don't want to have this conversation or confront this, like I feel like if you have the courage to talk to somebody about how you really feel in the right time, in the right way, it leads to a peace for all parties and it's just easier for everybody to move on.
I think I'm really interested in the types of conversations we'll have here. What are the limits? And by that, I mean, I'm interested to see where we're going to hold back as part of real conversations, what conversations we're willing to have is one thing I definitely would love. I can't wait to experience, I should say.
That makes me think of a story of when I was in college. One of my best friends on the soccer team and I used to run stadiums together a lot, and we would talk, just about people on the team and what was going on and what people were saying about different things. When you have 25 girls, there's obviously some cliques and cattiness or whatever, and so we were like, look, if I ever say the word stadium to you, you have to tell me the truth. If I ask you a question and I say stadium, you have to tell me the truth.
I like that.
And I think like with your friends, like you should be able to say like, this is my code word for like, I want the truth. Tell me the truth. Don't sugarcoat it. Have the real hard conversation. And we both used that word several times because we didn't want... It was something that meant so much to us that we didn't want them to worry about hurting our feelings. So I'm interested to see what our listeners,
I hope there's more of you.
Yeah, we hope somebody's listening out there. I would love to hear from them and like what hard conversations they've had or been putting off, or like if they've had a hard conversation, like what was the outcome of those conversations?
Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. If you know someone who's suffering from bulimia or any type of eating disorders, or even if that person is you, visit our website where we're going to have some resources that you can check out that will help you have those difficult conversations with you. I want you to know that if I can do it, you can do it. And if you know somebody who needs that help, please reach out to them, help them get to that place where they can start having those hard conversations. It starts with courage.
Thanks for listening to this episode of It Starts With Courage podcast with Kat and Jen. If you like this episode of the podcast, visit our website, iswcpodcast.com, for show notes and other cool things.